Orange Zone, sponsored by Apex Entertainment.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Orange Zone podcast. That's Ashley Wenskoski. I'm Samantha Croston, and we have a slate for you today. We're going to be talking some basketball, Boeheim's Army getting knocked out of the tournament. We have an addition added to the women's lacrosse team, and some other summer bits and bops. You know what's up. Hi, Ashley.
Hello. Yes, Boeheim's Army. I wish we had better things to talk about sitting here about Boeheim's Army. A swift exit from the basketball tournament, which was unfortunate. I think fans had a lot of hope for this team this year. Obviously, there were some big names, Syracuse alumni, and local players that came back to play. It was also the first year. They did not, or not the first year, but they didn't play last year, so it was the first year back for Boeheim's Army. Jimmy Boeheim, Buddy Boeheim, Elijah Hughes, the whole 9 yards. Things look great in the first game. They are swiftly eliminated from TBT. We Are D3 really came out to play.
Yeah, let's set the scene for you guys. Understand what was going on last night. Ashley was there with our intern squad, of course.
Yes.
I am watching on the TV. I mean, you're seeing, of course, Jim Boeheim is there. He's standing up at some point. There were coaches who were not supposed to be coaches that were coaching.
Eric Devendorf is like halfway across the court. He's about to jump in and play.
Yeah, Eric Devendorf might have been wearing a jersey underneath his clothes. We're not sure. I mean, massive orange crowd.
Yeah.
Home court advantage. According to FanDuel, Boeheim's Army was a 9.5-point favorite. I also think it's worth noting something I just stumbled across, which is that the Louisville team, which was the top seed in the attendance race to host games throughout the tournament, lost to sideline cancer. So there was a chance that Boeheim's Army could have played every game at Onondaga Community College. That's what was at stake. But the problem was We Are D3. And more specifically, was Zero the hero. That was the issue.
Ty Nichols. They call him the silencer, apparently, and that is quite the nickname. He had 36 points. I mean, he had like a third of their points. Like, that's insane. And he hit the game-winning ender as well. 36 points. He was 13 for 20 from the field, 6 of 10 from 3, and he really was the difference in that second half. I mean, not only his scoring abilities, they just could not guard him whatsoever. He was getting to the rim like every single possession that he had. But We Are D3 defensively was just stifling Syracuse, or Boeheim's Army, Syracuse, you get it, in the second half of that game. Like, they came out strong. I think Syracuse, pushed out to a 10, 13-point lead in that first half, and that all disappeared in the second half. And I'm not going to lie, that's where you're looking for a little bit of different game planning, right? We got to throw something else at the problem there. If We Are D3 is up in our face, blocking shots, not allowing us to get to the rim at all.
Can I just ask, his name's the silencer. I feel like all of that was as advertised, totally delivered. What was that moment like when he hit the game-winning shot? Was it truly silent in there?
Well, the entire alum ending, or that's what it's called, alum ending, where it's like fourth quarter, first team to 80 points. I believe it was Boeheim's Army 68 at that point. We Are D3, either 71 or 72, so they were a bit ahead.
Yes, it was 72, because the entire idea, just for people who don't know, the idea of the alum ending is that right below 4 minutes at the first timeout, they simply just shut the clock off, and whichever team is winning, in this instance it was We Are D3 with 72 points, they add 8 points to that score, and that's the target score. So that's why last night the target score was 80. Ultimately, it is the first team to 80 wins.
Yeah.
Like, it's that simple.
Yeah.
And I actually love that ending, because then you're not seeing a lot of, late game fouls and things to that effect.
It takes away sort of the slog that can be the end of your normal basketball game with the fouls and the timeouts and the whole 9 yards. So, but that entire ending, that was going on. They called the Elam ending, and then it was like first team to 80. And then they were battling it out for still another 15, 20 minutes. Like, it was quite lengthy, that last period. Buddy Boeheim hits the 3, then he ties it at 78. Like, you didn't really feel like Boeheim's Army was going to come back and win that at any point. But when Buddy hit the 3, I was like, all right, maybe. Like, if they get one more stop here, they have a really good chance. But they just could not get those stops defensively. We Are D3 was really unguardable. And I mean, you can say what you want about the fouls, the lack of foul. I mean, obviously this tournament is a little more freestyle of play. The refs are not in there calling fouls all the time. That gives a team like We Are D3 defensively like a better chance at guarding you, because they know that they're not calling fouls up, down, and sideways.
That's the perfect way to describe it. You have to understand, yes, there is $1 million at stake, but this isn't like college basketball. This isn't pro basketball. It's kind of like just for fun, I feel like. And you have to know in those instances that it's going to be kind of like a street ball feel. So I'm not here to and I think he would be okay with me saying this, I'm not here to Mike McAllister it out with the referees. I think that at the end of the day, they could have played better and they would have won.
Yeah.
They didn't. We are D3, just outplayed them. I mean, you're the one who said, I mean, I'll let you say it, but like just size difference, like a couple of things going against We Are D3, not to mention Vegas bet against them. They outplayed Boeheim's Army. That's just it.
Yeah, they were scrappy. I mean, they were fast. They were really playing like a fast-paced style of basketball. We got there, and obviously Boeheim's Army looked great in the first half. They get out to the early lead, and I'm thinking to myself, and I don't mean this in a rude way, but like there was a clear size advantage for Boeheim's Army in comparison to We Are D3. Like you can see why, you know, some of those guys might have gone to a D3 college, but this team, like you have to give them all the credit. Even Alan Griffin said after the game, like he said, I felt like we in Boeheim's Army had a real advantage on the interior. Size-wise, they weren't rebounding at the end. I don't know what the hell they were doing. Honestly, with rebounding, they just like were not making the effort to get inside. So, Boeheim's Army had advantages in multiple areas, right? The crowd, the size, the experience, and they just sort of squandered it. I mean, We Are D3, it was pointed out to me, does play all year round. Now that gives you a clear advantage with team bonding, team chemistry, even just some of the, you know, schemes and screens that you're running. Like they have a more cohesive feel to that team rather than Boeheim's Army. Buddy Boeheim got off a plane last night at, 3 a.m. and he's meeting some guys he hasn't seen in 10 years. But
yeah, like he didn't practice with the team at all.
No.
That's where we're saying like it is kind of casual. But still, right? $1 million are on the line. A basketball team isn't that big.
Yeah.
Someone's going to get quite a bit of money.
Right.
And I agree. I have to give some credit to Nichols. End of the day, that really was, an orange out, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
It was really like a Syracuse fan experience going on there. And I will say that when the score was locked at 78, and Buddy Boeheim, I think he hit like another three, right?
He hit the three to tie it at 78,
yeah. I really thought in my head they didn't have it, but that's where you would see all of a sudden like the ESPN probability graphic really switches.
Yeah.
Takes a real turn and is like, whoa, maybe with the home court advantage, Syracuse even has a better chance to win right now.
Yeah.
And as quickly as I thought that, the game was over.
Right.
Ty Nichols didn't wait for any air to be deflated out of the balloon. He was like,
No.
I'm going to score. I'm going to do this right away. I have been doing it by myself the entire night, and I'm going to do that again now.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even feel, honestly, the shot, if you watched it, was sort of awkward. He was coming in from an awkward angle, just hit off the backboard and went right in. I was like, this guy is awesome. He's so good.
Yeah. Also, the difference was, so Buddy played well again last night. He sort of started slow, but he finished with 17 points, 5 of 10 from 3. Jacob Gilliard, the point guard for Boeheim's Army, he had 19 points. Chris McCullough, 12. Those were the only three that scored double digits in points. Elijah Hughes was really critical to that first win in the round of 64. It was like Hughes and Boeheim, Buddy combined for like 45 points. He was largely absent last night, which was sort of a tough loss for them. And then we saw them shoot really, really well from three in that first round of 64. I think they hit like 18 threes. It was outrageous. They were just making everything from three. Last night they were 10 for 31 from behind the line, and half of those came from Buddy. So when you go cold from three, when you lose Hughes, which was a big component to that first win, and then they really shot themselves in the foot because they also had 9 extra trips to the foul line compared to We Are D3, but made under 70% of those shots. So when you're missing your free throws, when you're missing your, you had
Free throws matter, don't they?
Free throws matter.
Frenak, shout out. No, listen, I think you could look at this situation one of two ways. Of course, it would have been great to see Boeheim's Army continue down the path. Would have been cool to have a championship game here at OCC. Who knows what could have happened? I'm not here to talk about could-haves, would-haves, and should-haves. That being said, I do think this is an amazing event. I'm happy they do it every year. And if nothing else, I thought it was a good opportunity for Syracuse fans to just feel excited about something. Let's be fair. It was tough. It was tough waters to swim in last year with the Syracuse men's basketball team. Just to see some people, like I even saw like people out there with like the Boeheim's Army jerseys. Like it was actually really cute and cool to see Jim Boeheim out there. Like he was honestly screaming his head off by the end, but I like that. I like to see how involved everybody was. And in a way, I don't know, it was like heartwarming to see that people still feel that passionately about Syracuse basketball, even if it wasn't really Syracuse basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was nice to have some basketball in the summer. You even saw the current team was there last night at halftime. They were signing some autographs. Fans got to take some pictures. So all of that because we lose, I said this a few weeks ago, we lose basketball for a significant amount of time in the year. Football, it's like, well, there's fall camp in August and then the season. And then after the season, there's spring, like right away. Right, you know what I mean? So football,
Lord knows Fran Brown's always recruiting.
Lord knows Fran Brown is always recruiting. So we have more news and more access all the way through. So I guess to get like a little glimpse at basketball in this midsummer months was great. Will I do have to point out the obvious like Syracuse fan comparison that, you know, the unfortunate exit was a little symbolic of just everything that's been going on for Syracuse basketball the last few years. It kind of felt like the same balloon being deflated.
Right. Sort of had a storybook ending. But that's all there kind of is to say about that. Congratulations to We Are D3. It was interesting and exciting to watch. I am sure Syracuse fans wish it went differently, but I'm sure the team appreciated everybody who came out to support. It looked really packed in there. Beyond that, we do have one thing to mention on the Syracuse women's lacrosse side. Nicole Levy is joining the Orange coaching staff. Some of you might remember this name. She was really a stud. Former Syracuse standout. I believe she was an attacker, known for her high-powered shot on offense. She graduated in 2019, and now she's joining Reggie Thorpe as an assistant coach. She spent the past 3 seasons as the offensive coordinator at Florida, where she helped lead the Gators to the national semifinals in 2024 and 2025. So already right there, you see how this happened.
Right.
It's all in the family.
He's the defensive coordinator at Florida. She's the offensive coordinator. I like that. I mean, I like that consistency, just bringing that right. They're probably going to have some of the same schemes and game plans that they had at Florida together now at Syracuse. Obviously, he saw something that he liked from her if he wanted to bring her onto his staff in, you know, such a high caliber role. And whenever you get an alumni in, right, she is going to, like we've said many times, know the program and know the Syracuse style of play because she played here. So it's great to see Reggie Thorpe, you know, really start to build his staff. And I think it's just going to be refreshing and interesting to see a totally new regime for Syracuse women's lacrosse next year. Like, it's not like Reggie Thorpe came in here and sort of had some holdovers from Kayla Trainer's staff. Like, you know, things are going to be different. Things are going to look different, both on the field and probably off of it. And that's only a good thing.
I think we've talked a lot about what does this Syracuse women's lacrosse program actually need?
Yeah.
Do they need some of the same? Do they need to head in a different direction? I've thought about it. I've contemplated. And I have ultimately decided that I think it's a little bit of both. Nicole Levy, to me, is a good example of they do need a little bit more of the same. When Nicole Levy was here, she became the 10th player in program history to record 200 career points, finishing her career with 222. She had this awesome shot from outside the 8. She was someone who, at a free position shot, could take one step and let it rip top cheddar. Like, a part of Syracuse women's lacrosse is a high-powered, dominant, strong, creative offense. I think that should still be their bread and butter, and maybe Nicole Levy brings some of that old school flair kind of back into the mix. However, I felt like particularly on the defensive side of the ball was where they were needing something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Reggie Thorpe brings, and that's where he kind of comes into play.
Definitely. And I think recruiting-wise, right, she's from Long Island. Obviously, that's Long Island, the hotbed of lacrosse, men's and women's. That can only benefit them on the recruiting trail. And she's experienced. Even though she is young, like, she graduated from Syracuse, like you said, in 2019, spent some time at Florida. She also started her career at Colorado. She was the offensive coordinator there for 4 years. So, I mean, she might be, 5-6 years out of school, but she's already had 2 offensive coordinator positions at 2 Power 4 programs.
And also, I do think it's interesting you bring up her Long Island roots, because that is something to consider here. I do think women's lacrosse, more than many other sports, it comes down to who you know and connections in recruiting. The fact that they just spent time in Florida, but now they also potentially could have that chokehold on the Long Island, Northeast area, that ends up really mattering now that even NIL is coming into play and whatnot on the women's side of things. I think to have connections in all those different places, and I happen to know Nicole Levy is a very connected person, that ends up really helping when you're going up against, be it Kayla Trainer or Joe Spallina or whoever else.
I know Syracuse, that's a weird one to think about. Syracuse is going to be now against Kayla Trainer on the recruiting trail.
Isn't
Penn
that
State.
weird?
That is weird.
You'd have to think that at least like Long Island, they probably have the edge in New York. But Joe Spallina too, man, I don't know. It's tough. We'll have to see what he brings, and maybe Thorpe has to prove himself, and then we see where it goes from there. Anything else that you wanted to say on any sport before we wrap it up and get out of here?
No, we're on the doorstep of football fall camp. Obviously, we are still waiting for an official announcement on the day that starts, but I anticipate it's going to be the first week of August, as it usually is. So we're very excited for that, and we'll do some sort of like positional preview things as that comes down the pipe. We also have an interview with Dan Conley that we are going to share with you guys. Obviously, he was a former Syracuse football linebacker. He still lives here in town, very connected to all of the SU football alumni circles, good friends with James Mungro, for instance. So we're excited to share that interview with you guys. He said a lot of interesting things about, Fran Brown, how the alumni relationship has changed, and also some stuff on Calvin Russell, the 5-star that Syracuse got, and what that sort of means.
Yeah, I won't give too much away, but I'll tell you this, that got, I think, more emotional than you or I were expecting.
Emotional.
And it goes to show how much this program means to the people who are a part of it. So we're really excited to share that with you guys. Otherwise, have a great week. We will see you back here next week.